Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Hannah Duggar struggling to remember kids. Counting on alum Jeremiah Duggar's wife, Hannah, is raising some eyebrows following her latest post. The 28-year-old mom has been sharing pictures about her growing family. She also likes to celebrate every little milestone with her kids. However, some Redditors think Hannah is starting to struggle with the life she chose with Jeremiah. Keep reading to see why. Counting on. How are Jeremiah and Hannah Duggar today? Jeremiah and Hannah have been embracing their lives as parents to 2 kids. In February, the married couple welcomed their second daughter, Brill Grace. They've been taking steps to strengthen their marriage as well. In March, Hannah shared a beautiful picture of her husband carrying his 2 daughters while hanging out at the airport. Jeremiah also took to social media on Mother's Day to pay tribute to his wife. Some Counting On fans also wish that the two would be more open about their lives, similar to Duggar and Jeremy Vuolo. Hannah struggling to remember kids. Some Counting On fans on Reddit react to Hannah's latest post about her daughters, Brielle and Brinley. "I'm treasuring these moments because time goes too fast and life right now is beautiful," Jeremiah's wife captioned. According to the poster, they're puzzled about how Hannah had to put names on her kids' clothes, seemingly indicating that she forgets about their names. Meanwhile, others commented on how fast Hannah has given birth to her kids, and several commenters predict another possible pregnancy this year. Having to label your babies when you shoot them out so fast you can't remember who's who. For what it's worth, I think they might be slowing down slightly before their next sprog. A lot of their social media is "we're so happy with our girls, so blessed with our 2." Almost as though they're having to justify not going for 3 under 3. I'm not sure why I got downvoted when I said this the first time, but with Hannah being the most recent Duggar to give birth, with that I think she'll be the next one to announce a pregnancy this year. How many names start with Bear? At the rate they're going to run out in 3 kids / a couple of years. They're not identical twins, they're not even twins. How can she not tell them apart? Perhaps she should color code the girls. Maybe then she can tell them apart without having to embroider their clothes. Lol. Counting on why fans think Jeremiah and Hannah Duggar were arranged marriage. In April, some Reddit users from a different thread discussed how Jeremiah and Hannah's marriage was arranged. According to the poster, insiders have claimed that the Counting On Alan's wedding with Hannah was fixed. However, others defended the couple and said that it was encouraged or introduced, which were more of a setup with the freedom to get to know each other. But despite all the speculations, Jeremiah and Hannah Duggar continue to prove how much they love each other. I saw a comment on another post a while ago saying it's been confirmed that Jeremiah and Hannah are an arranged marriage. I need more tea. Who's in a confirmed or suspected arranged marriage? More importantly, how do we know? I think people are conflating arranged and introduced. We certainly don't have proof for anyone. Encouraged to get to know one Duggar of another, yes. Encouraged on timing, yes. Hannah Duggar had always prided herself on her ability to manage the chaos of her large family. As one of the Duggars, a family known for its enormous brood, she'd been raised to thrive in the bustling household environment. But lately, something had changed. Subtle at first, her mind seemed foggy, disjointed, and frustratingly unreliable. It started with little things, like forgetting where she'd placed her keys or misplacing a favorite toy belonging to one of her many children. But soon, her memory lapses grew more alarming. On a crisp autumn morning, the sound of children's laughter echoed from the backyard as Hannah stood in the kitchen, staring blankly at the calendar pinned to the fridge. Her youngest, Levi, tugged at her leg, battling about wanting a snack. The noise of the other children was familiar, comforting even, but as Hannah stared at the scribbled list of appointments, playdates, and school events, a wave of panic washed over her. She couldn't remember which of her kids had soccer practice that afternoon. In fact, for a moment, she couldn't recall how many children were even outside. "Mommy, snack." Levi's voice grew insistent, pulling her from her thoughts. She smiled down at him, though the smile didn't reach her eyes. She ruffled his curly hair, trying to push aside the unsettling feeling gnawing at her. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," she said, bending down to his level. "What would you like for a snack?" Levi giggled and pointed to the jar of animal crackers on the counter. Hannah poured a small handful into his chubby hands, watching as he scurried off to join his siblings. As he ran through the open back door, Hannah took a deep breath and tried to steady herself. For years, she had juggled the roles of mother, wife, and homemaker with grace, always able to recall each child's preferences, schedule, and personality quirks. But recently, she had found herself struggling with simple things. Their names, ages, and even their faces would blur together, especially in moments of exhaustion. The turning point came the previous week. Hannah had been sitting on the living room couch, helping one of her daughters, Emma, with homework. Or was it Lily? She couldn't be sure. Her daughter had asked for help with a math problem, and while Hannah knew the answer, she couldn't get past the sinking feeling that something was wrong. She had stared at her daughter's face, struggling to remember if this was her third or fourth child. Her heart had raced, a tightness gripping her chest as the room seemed to spin. "Honey, are you okay?" Her husband, Caleb, had asked from across the room. His voice had snapped her out of the moment, and she had quickly forced a laugh, brushing off her confusion. "I'm fine. Just tired," she had said, plastering on a smile to hide the growing fear inside her. That night, lying awake next to Caleb in bed, Hannah had stared at the ceiling, her thoughts racing. Something was wrong. This wasn't just ordinary forgetfulness. She knew the stresses of parenting could sometimes lead to exhaustion and lapses in memory. But this felt different, like pieces of her mind were slipping away. In the following days, she had started to avoid situations where her memory might be tested. She let Caleb handle more of the daily logistics with the kids, citing burnout as the reason. He had been understanding, always supportive, and eager to help, but Hannah could tell he was worried. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, Caleb gently broached the topic. "Hannah, you know you can talk to me about anything, right?" he said, his hand resting on hers. "You've been acting different lately. Distant. Is everything okay?" Hannah hesitated, tears welling in her eyes. She had always prided herself on being the glue that held the family together, the one who could be relied on no matter what. Admitting that she was struggling felt like admitting failure. "I don't know what's happening to me," she whispered. "I can't remember things the way I used to. It's like my mind is playing tricks on me." Caleb's expression softened as he pulled her into a hug. "We'll figure it out," he promised. "Whatever it is, we'll get through it together." Despite his comforting words, Hannah couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Over the next few weeks, she saw a doctor who ran tests to rule out any serious conditions. When the results came back normal, the doctor suggested that it could be stress-related. But Hannah knew her body, and this didn't feel like just stress. The Duggars, known for their emphasis on family and traditional values, often prided themselves on being resilient. But Hannah realized that it might be time to ask for help. It wasn't easy to break through the facade of being the perfect mother, but for the sake of her children, she needed to face whatever this was head-on. She began journaling her experiences, documenting the moments when her memory failed her. She kept a small notebook in her purse and another by her bedside. Each night, she jotted down things she had forgotten or moments when she felt lost in the sea of her children's needs. Over time, the journal entries grew longer, and Hannah found herself relying on it more and more. She would read back through her notes to remind herself of appointments or even details about her children's days. One afternoon, while Caleb was at work and the children were playing outside, Hannah sat at the kitchen table with her journal open before her. She flipped through the pages, reading the entries aloud to herself. Monday, forgot to pack Emma's lunch. Tuesday, didn't remember to pick up the dry cleaning. Wednesday, couldn't recall if Lily had taken her medicine. As she read, her hand absently rubbed at her temple, the tension in her head growing. The more she tried to push through the fog in her mind, the thicker it seemed to become. Suddenly, she heard the sound of a child crying outside. Hannah's heart leaped into her throat as she rushed to the window. Her youngest, Levi, had tripped and fallen, scraping his knee. Without thinking, Hannah darted outside, her motherly instincts taking over as she scooped him into her arms.